Hello, Chemistry 1 students. This is your Introduction to Chemistry.
I'm Emily Sommer.
And I'm Taylor Rogers. Why study chemistry? Chemistry provides an important understanding about everything in the world.
Okay. We're going to talk about what you use in labs, like the equipment, and the proper techniques for using them. So first we have the Erlenmeyer flask, and that's very useful for stirring stuff because of the triangular base. It's really easy to stir stuff with.
Next, we have the wash bottle, which is filled with distilled water and it is mainly used for cleaning.
Okay, and next we have the tongs, which is used for transporting and carrying hot objects like beakers that you don't want to touch with your hands.
We also have the test tube holder or the test tube rack, which you place your test tubes in during an experiment.
And we also have the test tube clamp, which is used to transport like hot test tubes when they just get out of a hot water bath, and you transport those to the test tube rack.
The graduated cylinder is used for an approximate measurement of liquids.
The volumetric flask is much more accurate in measuring liquids, which makes it very useful in making solutions.
The test tube brush is used to clean your test tubes after an experiment is finished.
The stirring rod is used in stirring and pouring solutions. The crucible and clay triangle are placed on the ring stand and iron ring, and they are used to heat substances to an extremely high temperature. And then they are placed on wire gauze, which protects the table from getting burnt. And the next one we have is the evaporating dish, and that's used for evaporating stuff. The mortar and pestle is used to pulverize things into fine powders because, as we learned, with more surface area, it dissolves easier, so that's really helpful in making solutions.
The whale is used to hold very, very small amounts of liquid, and if you were to turn it upside down, due to the surface tension, the liquids will not fall out until you snap it.
Yep, and it's also very useful in being able to watch reactions happen. You get to see the color change and compare it to the other ones next to it. Yeah. The next thing we have is the pipette, and that's used for transporting or adding small amounts of liquids to solutions.
The volumetric pipette is used to carry much larger volumes of the liquids and give a more accurate reading.
And we also have the tweezers, and those are used for picking up things that you wouldn't want to touch, like that magnesium
ribbon.
Yeah, magnesium ribbon. You could pick that up with tweezers.
Next we have the scupula, which also is used to hold and transport powders and
stuff that you wouldn't want to touch.
Exactly.
Okay, and we also have the watch glass, which is really good for placing powders that aren't meant to be touched, and for weighing and for carrying.
Next we're going to go over the safety guidelines, which are very, very important in
a lab. Such as wearing your closed-toed shoes because things could spill on your toes and you wouldn't have toes anymore.
Most of the solutions that you're going to be messing with are skin irritants, so that's very important.
Yeah, so no loose clothing because it can get into your clothing and then seep into your skin, which if it's a strong base, it will eat from the inside out.
Make sure you have your hair tied back so it will not catch on any open flames.
And some improper lab techniques would be eating during a lab because that's just very dangerous, and to eat anything that you make, like anything in a test tube, or I don't know why you would do that, but you're not supposed to do that. Also, having your hair down is a very dangerous lab technique because, as Taylor said, you could catch your hair on fire.
As demonstrated in our picture by Miss Leah Wright.
Yes. So,
thanks guys.
Happy chemistry. The MSDS sheet isn't necessarily something you'll use every day, but it's really important in case there's a fire. The firemen can look at it and tell like what's flammable, what'll explode with heat. So this is really important, like if someone were to swallow a chemical, you would be able to look at this, and most workplaces have this sheet too. So it's very important. So to help you review for the quiz, I have this worksheet, and it has most of lab equipment, and you just have to write how you use it, and that will help you with your quiz. Also, to help you with your quiz, I have this worksheet. It used to be an old quiz. It's labeled quiz number 1. And if you do this and review the answers, which I have provided for you, that will really help you with your quiz.
Okay, so for your quiz, we're going to flash a picture up on the screen, and we need you to write the name and the uses of that piece of equipment.
Okay, so here's the first one.
I wish you could go over I can't. Like what?
Okay, time's up for that one. Here's the next one.
You just go like that. But like, how do you go?
And the third one? Here's the fourth one. And the last one.
Okay, now you have to write down 3 inappropriate lab techniques. So write that down on your paper right now.
Any 3 will do. Thanks, guys. Hope this really helped. We'll see you later. A polyatomic ion is a charged species composed of 2 or more atoms covalently bonded. The easiest way to learn 5 of your 8s is by Nick the Camel ate clam supper in Phoenix.
Okay, and how you use this is that you circle 8.
To remind you that after each of your first letters, you put an O.
Okay, and now you look at all of your first letters. N, C, C, S, P. Okay, and you take the first letter, which is N, and you put O. And now you look at the number of vowels you have. And that will be your charge. So it has 1 vowel, so it's a -1 charge. Now you look at the consonants, and there's 3. So that goes after the O. And then you have nitrate. Now you look at C, and you put an O, because you have to remember that. And you look at all the vowels you have. And you look at the consonants. 1, 2, 3. And there you have carbonate. Now you look at the next C. Okay, and see, through Nick the Camel ate clam supper in Phoenix, you were able to list out all of these really easily without having to memorize them. So now you only have 3 left of the 8s to memorize.
Changing our polyatomic ions to acids, there's an easy way to remember it. Okay, for example, perchlorate. When you look at and see it's at 8, you know it's going to turn to an ick. How you can remember that is I ate it and I was like, ick. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So, perchlorate turns from perchlorate to perchlorus.
Ick. Perchloric. I ate
Turns
it,
from-
and I was like, ick.
Turns from perchlorate to perchloric.
Okay, and how you write it out when it's an acid, you see that it is a negative charge, and it's -1. So that's how many hydrogens you add, because hydrogens have a +1 charge. So it'd be HClO4. And see, it has no charge anymore. Okay, now, if you're using borate, you'd have to do 3 H's to get rid of that -3 charge. Okay, and this one, acetate, you would just have to add 1 hydrogen.
Make sure you add it to the beginning instead of adding on to these hydrogens. So when you write it, it'll look like.
I don't think you have fingernails. You can't have like, and your nails can't be like super long. 'Cause that's just.
Yeah, even if it has 3 H's right here, you still add it at the beginning just to like keep it all straight.
Well, it's probably because you're
Okay, now
like
pause it.
performing. Like soccer, just nobody's gonna see you.
Okay, so when we're talking about our ites, if you have your 8s, then you should be fairly well off.
Okay, so this is nitrate, as you have already learned. To make it nitrite, you would just take away an oxygen. So it would become NO2 and keep your charge. So now, to go from a polyatomic ion like this to an acid, you have to remember that ites goes to us.
An easy way to remember that is she told us what to do, and I was like, I.
Okay, so to do that, to bring it to an acid, it's the same way you do 8s to ick. You just add a hydrogen to get rid of the charge. And that's it.